Let's now look at the Bryan Acheampong factor. Bryan Acheampong came in with that, they want to say Gen Z. But some people will say he came with that, a mixture of streetism vibes and academic, vibes as well, against Dr. Bawumia, who is strict academic, So how should Dr. Bawumia play around the Bryan factor? And what does it even portend for Dr. Bawumia himself in future primaries? Let me start with you, Vicky.
Yeah, I think that Dr. Bawumia needs to navigate the whole Bryan thing very carefully. Because now Bryan has a political, a strong power base in the party without the crown. And clearly he's going for the crown, So he needs to be careful how he navigates it. It can be, Bryan represents resources, networks, and he now has a tested national operation.
Yeah.
And so it makes him dangerous if, and only if, he's not handled correctly within the party. He can be an ally or otherwise, and that would be a test of Dr. Bawumia's leadership in the party. Because if he, in these situations, there are usually two options, isn't it? You can try and neutralize the person, or you can try and bring the person on side. Those are realistically the two options. If he tries to neutralize Bryan, it's not going to work. He's not that kind of person. It's just not going to work. I know Bryan. It's not going to work.
The uncle man says yes. So he agrees.
Oh, I see. So that would be a very bad and dangerous strategy, because all that will happen is that there will now be a parallel power alongside him, and all these things about the unity and all that, then goes out of the window. The other possibility, which is what I would do if I were in his shoes, is to convert him or work with him, partner with him, and turn him into an asset for the party, an institutional asset, if you like. Because for me, that's what makes sense strategically for him. So I think that he should be given responsibilities and with measurable outcomes, because politicians are also very good at giving big titles with zero responsibility. So you have the title all right, but you have no power. So I think for someone like Bryan, if he wants to bring him on board, he'll have to give him, assign to him proper responsibilities, meaningful, tangible responsibilities that will convert him from a potential rival to an asset. And I think that's one of the things that will signal that he's serious about unity. Because look, everybody came and made the speeches. I mean, really, what are we expecting them to say? You have to say that you are behind the flag bearer, you agree with everything, the people have spoken. I mean, we can make those speeches in our sleep.
But what actually can be given to him that would mean something to get him to work?
Well, that one is a question of negotiation, isn't it? So the two of them have to negotiate.
Because as Prof suggested, he's suggesting that you don't change your running mate. I've heard other people say the showing of Bryan probably put him in that race of being considered for running mate. But if you're not going to change it, what other meaning
but
for?
But Bryan may not want to be running mate.
Okay.
I mean, as I said, he's got the power without the crown. And he's made it clear that he wants the crown. So he may not want to be the running mate. I mean, that's always the kind of conclusion, if you like, that people come to. They jump because that's the most obvious thing. And sometimes the most obvious thing is not the solution, you see. Because everywhere running, no, it doesn't. Not everybody who comes second or third or who emerges as a power base wants to be running mates. Some people are very focused on what they want. Right. And in many cases, if you become the running mate, it can actually neutralize your chances of actually getting the crown. So if you are super focused, you decide, this is what I want, and I'm going for broke. You know, I mean, if it doesn't happen, I know that I went for what I wanted for, and this was the result, and I'm happy to accept the outcome. And that takes a certain kind of personality, you know, because look, you cannot become president without extreme needle-sharp focus. Anything below that, you're not going to make it. You know, there are a lot of ingredients that go into these things. That's for focus, that single-minded focus, you cannot compromise that. So he might not want that. So this is, I mean, he has to sit with him and work something out. Because the problems in the party, as I said, as we've all alluded to, are many. And so I don't think it's the task of one person to solve those problems. And unity is a very easy word, but it's very difficult to achieve. And right now, given all the heads, look, some people are still upset about the fact that the delegates were maintained from the last time. Because, you know, I believe this is the first time that the same delegates have elected the flag bearer twice. So some people are still extremely upset about that.
But with the explanation Prof gave, wouldn't that now make sense that you needed to do this very early to give the flag bearer and the party enough room to heal?
But, you know, I mean, time is obviously...
Yes, because if you're going to change the delegate, you have to go through a lot of processes to get there.
No, but look, that's what the party has always done, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they've been able to, you know, they've elected candidates successfully throughout the years. So people also feel that this was done to favor one person and one person only. So for me, when people are going on about the big figures, and that's why I started off by saying that, look, I'm not surprised that he won. I mean, how was he going to lose? Seriously. I mean, seriously. You've got the same delegates who voted for you overwhelmingly, 61%, voting for you again with a few people added to it. Unless you do something horribly wrong, they're going to support you because you are their man. So for me, the bigger question is whether they can turn that into a political win for the party in 2028. It's not about NPP per se. Yes, on one level it is, because of course the party has to come together and select its own candidate. But the bigger question is, what is going to happen on the big stage when that candidate that the political party selects is presented to Ghanaians at large? That is the bigger question, and that's why I was going on about the dichotomy between an embodiment of continuity and change at the same time. How do you really, I mean, that's going to be a very tall order, as far as I'm concerned. So there are a lot of things that need to be sorted out in the party. There really are. And unless it's, and very thin lines to navigate, and very sensitive lines which have to be carefully navigated. And unless they are navigated convincingly, in a way that bridges the trust deficit between NPP as a party and Ghanaians, it's not going to go well in 2028.
Dr. Bomfeh, let me come to you. Will it matter the delegate who elected him and how you saw Bawumia, for example?
So let me begin by saying that the problems of the NPP may be many, but they are not peculiar to the NPP. Every political party in the world.
Oh, we are talking about him.
Yes, I'm coming. Oh, it's not in response to you, but I'm just saying that the problems of a party may be many, but in the running of political parties, it is not peculiar. Every political party today in Ghana has its own internal issues that it is grappling with or has to deal with. But, you know, just as a direct response to something my sister Vicky said, and I've heard many people say that, if a study is conducted, you'll be shocked that there may not have been significant difference in the identities of the persons who have been voting as delegates of a political party over a stretch. In fact, okay.
2008, the delegates list that was about 70%. The standard average has been 80% of the delegates are usually maintained. But there are some of the areas that they do not. I will talk about that one later, but just to help, 80% on the average delegates are maintained.
Look, Kwejo, I was at the forefront of the election machine of the Convention People's Party, at least from 2007 till I left in 2020. I can tell you, almost everywhere you go is the same delegates. So this notion about the same people who voted in 2023 are the ones who voted in 2026. I mean, it's an overplayed card.
Let me just say something.
Yeah.
In 1998, same delegates were maintained to vote. This is not the first time.
But for me, you see, I was driving to a point, and because you mentioned his name, I think the proposal he made was also carried after it was seconded by
Dominic Nitul.
It was put to vote and it was unanimously decided.
Agreed.
So the argument Prof. Sapong was making, I mean, when a constitutionally mandated body takes a decision, you can disagree with them. But in terms of the righteousness of that decision, you can't take it away from them. Now, back to this issue of delegates and who constitute delegates. Largely, they hardly change. They hardly change. So that must also be put in perspective. Because you know what?
No.
As far as I am concerned, each one of those who put themselves up for this contest will have to be a critical focus for Dr. Bawumia. And not only them. There were people who were potential aspirants who didn't put themselves up. Adanimo was one.
Okaikwe Central, what's his name?
Bocha Jakun, who is now aiming to become chairman.
I know.
And some key stakeholders. But apart from that, I think we are all together here in talking about the focus to be on the broader party, its identity, the ethos, the values and the principles that would rally the people, together. And the methods that are used. The methods should be such that when they are questioned, they can be justified. They must be in line with their constitution, and they must be in line with the national constitution and best practice here and elsewhere. Once you do that, you will never always have all the people agreeing with you. But once you follow the right steps, you have something to plead on to say that, look, but it wasn't done ultra-vires, or it wasn't done countervailing to the circumstances. So it is something that, for me, they themselves must also hold their narrative right. Because, you see, identity is very important. If you don't know your name, people will give you a name undeserving of you. So they must do well to study their own history, their own record of performance, their own capacity to move on, and hold that narrative, engage in a stakeholder kind of thing, and build allies within the political space and beyond, and especially the media. Because we like it, whether we like it or not. We are in the information age. So, and perhaps they would need to find a way to rebrand, renew, re-engage, all focusing on trust, public trust.
May I just
You want
say
to make a point, yeah.
Yes, I mean, this thing about delegates staying the same, and that is not the point, with respect. My point is that people want to practice their own democracy in the sense that, I mean, of course, within the context of the party's rules. So, you know, it's all the same saying it doesn't change. It doesn't matter whether it's 10% or 5% or 1% that changes. The fact is that a process must be gone through for people to feel content. Because there's nothing worse for a political party than quiet dissent. People just switch off without you knowing. And that we have seen time and time again has proved to be extremely dangerous for every party. So I just wanted to make that point.
Okay.
You know.
All right. We are still on the Bryan factor. I'll come to you, Adam Hakokisi, but let me bring in head of research here, Joyce, to look at the numbers. What numbers did Bryan bring, or what numbers does he command that makes his factor one important element that the party should consider? Kofi Ajay is our lead researcher here. Kofi, that's all is good.
Yeah, I mean, important to focus on the numbers this morning, because what happened on Saturday was a numbers game, and you saw how we said it, that there was going to be what we're calling the combined third force, and significantly that was going to come from Bryan Acheampong, and he did that on Saturday, polling more than 18% of the valid vote cast on Saturday. But going into the election, we were looking at these numbers and we're saying that, well, before you can become flag bearer of the NPP, you needed to be a win 50% plus one, right? And looking at the number of delegates who were going to vote on the day were about 211,000. So our computations showed that if everybody was expected to turn out to come and vote, because, you know, the stakes are high, then for you to be able to win, you need about 105,926, right? So using, I mean, what we know so far in terms of the turnout, right? Using a turnout of, let's say, 95% from history, delegate elections have very high turnout. So let's use 95% turnout, right? That will mean that to be able to win, you needed 100,629. So we tried to do some scenario analysis for all the candidates, especially for Dr. Bawumia and Kennedy Acheampong, right? This was their numbers in 2023, what they had to get in 2026 to actually cross 50% plus or minus one. And I agree that it would have taken a lot for Bawumia not to win on Saturday, right? Because he put himself in a position in 2023 that made it possible for him to maintain that flag bearer status in 2026. Why? Because he was able to gain more than 118,000 in 2023. He needed just about 100,620. If we are using a 95% turnout rate, he needed this number to win one touch. For Kennedy Acheampong, he was at 71,991. And for him to be here and to win one touch, he needed to convince over 28,000 delegates, new delegates, to actually join. Let's see what happened. Now, we did this analysis and said that, look, this is the delegate population, those who are going to vote. And from 1992, what we realized is that the delegate population has gone up by more than 100 times. From close to about 2,000 delegates in 1992 that elected Edu Boahen. Today, we are talking about more than 211,000. And we said that, well, there were even new entrants, over, 8,000 delegates who were new entrants, and that vote was also for grabs. Let's look at the points that our panelists made in terms of those who did not put themselves up for this election again. And the person of Adainimo and the Free Akoto. What we realized was that in 2023, the two of them combined were able to get some 2,240 votes. Because if you add that to the new entrants, going into the election, you had about 10,650 votes for grabs. And our analysis showed that this new entrant, plus the vote that Adainimo and Efri Akoto left behind, a significant component of that went to Bryan Acheampong. Very, very significant. And in fact, if you look at the regional distribution, you see how Bryan Acheampong strategically actually won regions like the Volta region, which hitherto had been won by Kennedy Acheampong. Huge losses in terms of votes. The Ashanti region, Kennedy losing more than 2,000 votes. Losing, votes even in the central region and all that. Tell you about the story about how Bawumia actually gained votes in about 6 regions and how that helped him to maintain that momentum. Now, let's look at Saturday's vote versus what happened in 2023. This was Bawumia's situation, right? And I said that he needed some 100,000 votes to win, one touch. Yes. And he was able to get 110,643. It means that was enough for him to be flag bearer. Just look at that versus what he got in 2023. So although he lost votes, he did not lose votes as much as Kennedy Acheampong did. Kennedy Acheampong, per our analysis, lost close to about an equivalent of the votes he needed to reach 50% plus one. He lost more than 20,000 votes if you look at this chart. That made it difficult for him. The analysis also showed that Bawumia, although lost about 7,000 of his votes, close to about more than 7,000 of his votes, Kennedy Acheampong, on the other hand, lost over 20,000 of his votes compared to what he had in 2023. And if you combine that, about 95% of that went to Bryan Acheampong. That was the reason why he was able to position himself as the third force in that race. Now, this is very interesting for me. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, if you add the headquarters, 7, I should say regions, if you add the headquarters, that Bawumia actually appreciated in votes. So it wasn't a loss throughout. We should be able to understand it. That even in the Greater Accra region where Bawumia won, he was able to add some 818 votes, delegate votes, to what he had in 2023. Western region, 441 votes. In Bono region, where you have people like Abronye and co, significant increase in votes, 327. Savannah region, the only 2 northern regions that actually appreciated in vote. Bawumia actually gets some 260 votes, additional vote from the Savannah region. Central region, 83 votes. Headquarters was able to get some 4 votes, and northern region, 34 votes. Now I want to tell you a story. Just look at this. How many of the swing regions can you identify?
Greater Accra, Western, Central.
In fact,
Northern is also.
In fact, the 3 traditional swing regions we have.
Yeah, Greater Western and Central.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are the regions that Bawumia actually, increase in votes in terms of, the delegate votes. Very, very significant, and put him in a very good position to actually get that 56% that he got. Now, these were the places that he lost votes. And we need to pay attention to that. Eastern region, and this is why the Bryan effect was very important on Saturday. Eastern region, Bawumia lost over 2,000, he had actually lost about 2,900 votes, right? Very, very significant. Where did he go to? Significant component went to Bryan Acheampong, although you had, Yaosei Duchum also polling some numbers in the Eastern region. Ashanti region where you had a Duchum. And in fact, the Ashanti region, the vote that Dr. Bawumia lost, when we did the analysis, we saw that a significant component of that came from Bosome, the Bosomche districts, where a Duchum stationed himself, won that constituency. In fact, Bawumia won 45. Then 2 didn't actually go to Bawumia. 1 of them actually went to Edichum. And the only place around the Bosomtre place that he won was the Bosome Freo, right? But he lost Bosomtre heavily.
That's where Edichum is the MP, right?
Yes, that's his playground. That's the place he's been able to give them an ultramodern school, the Bosomtre girls' school and all that. On that day, they had no choice than to honor the man who has been with them throughout. He won that. And that was the vote Bawumia lost, 2,505. Now let's come to the Volta region. This is a region that Kennedy Acheampong won in 2023. But Bawumia actually lost votes there. Why? Because Bryan Acheampong, for the first time, won Volta region. Actually getting votes from Kennedy Acheampong and also Dr. Bawumia. Western North, Bawumia lost 749 votes.
And these are over his 2023 votes.
Exactly. We are doing some comparative analysis. And Upper West, he lost 574. Upper East, 456. And then you have also Ahafo. He lost votes there. Oti, he lost votes because we all know what happened. Oti, Bryan Acheampong also very, very significant. And in fact, if you look at the northern votes, I was shocked how Bryan Acheampong actually got more votes in the northern region than possibly we were expecting some of the other candidates to actually get. In terms of the over 33,000 vote that he got, you had a significant part of that coming from the northern region and places that NPP usually will find it difficult to actually get votes in the national election. a place like Volta region, a place like Upper West and Upper East, which has never voted NPP. These were the areas that Bryan Acheampong was actually getting votes from. And you have another place like the Bono East and Northeast. These are regions that NPP lost in the 2024 election. And Bawumia actually lost, Bryan Acheampong gaining significantly also.
They won Northeast, right?
Yeah, they won Northeast, but in terms of Bryan Acheampong's votes in Northeast, very significant.
Yeah.
But the expectation was that this was Bawumia's home region.
Yes.
So even if you are counting regions that he will lose votes relative to 2023, this should not be part. But this is the place that he lost 17 delegate votes. So in terms of the numbers, this was the picture that panned out on Saturday. And if you are looking at why Bawumia actually didn't get more than 118,000 that he got in 2023, it was because he lost his votes in about 10 regions, right? But what actually saved him was the fact that he was able to increase votes in about 6 regions. If you add the headquarters, about 7. And significantly, what we can glean from this trend or this pattern we are seeing is that all traditional swing regions actually increased in votes for Dr. Bawumia Kojo.
But actually, he won 14 regions.
He won 14 regions, right?
So all these votes that he lost, a chunk of them went to Bryan Acheampong.
Exactly.
Okay.
I would prefer that the researcher hedges. May have,
okay.
because you cannot tell with certainty.
No, that's why I said a significant component.
Yeah,
not
may
that the whole thing went to.
What I'm saying is that let's hedge.
That's why it's significant components. It's also a hedge.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Researchers are talking. Those of us who are not researchers, we are listening to them.
I appreciate what he said.
Okay. Dr. Lagisi, I come to you. So you've had the numbers there that possibly Bryan Acheampong pulled from Dr. Bawumia and even significantly from Kennedy Japan, because if you look at the numbers that Kennedy lost,
about 20,000.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, you were there.
Yeah.
What do you make of the brand factor in the NPP?
Well, I think without a doubt in mind, Bryan has come to stay. Yeah. And at his age, 53, he's done, wow. I'm impressed. Within the NPP,
The Conservative Party,
they don't allow young guys a chance.
Okay.
Let me be straight with you. So he's done something monumental. If we talk about youth, I know my party.
But he's not useful. Is he useful?
Well, in terms of MPP,
okay, he's
youthful.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying that I know the MPP fraternity so well. And he's really given many more youth like a new look at the MPP. I'm encouraged by it, and I'm activated in the sense that he stands to now bridge the gap between the very old and the aspiring youth who now can say that, yes, the youth also have a say. And let me also admit that presidential primaries, 4 months, is not a joke. 4 months, and one of the things that were very troubling for a new entrant was the fact that you had 2 titans who had already toured the country. And you were now going to tour the country within 4 months. Unimaginable. It's not easy. And then even sell your message and then be able to endear to the delegates, which he has proven. And I must admit, quite honestly, that this is a monumental success for any person who was selling a candidate within a primaries, and to achieve the heights that we have, I think is quite formidable. And I must say that what this means is that the Bryan factor truly must be carefully managed. And I say this with the greatest of respect, not because I'm with him. But I say this because I think that for the party is sort of very good to have another clear direction as to where we're going, and I think that for that reason, one of the challenges moving forward is how we can lead the reconciliation and this new dawn within the NPP fraternity, where there's now we don't talk about an Allen factor. That's in the past now. Now what is new, what is in vogue, and not to dissuade people, but I think that Ken's age and health, it makes it quite clear that the next force, powerful Bryan. Force, certainly is Bryan, and I think that our very abled, is it Vic, right? Vicky. Yeah. Vicky has made it clear that it needs to be contained and managed, carefully, and I think that for me, Bryan, in the early stages, said he would lose gracefully, and I mean, really. And let me say that this show, as a fresh entrant, is quite powerful, and with a little bit of salt, we would have even overtaken Kennedy. If he had, with a little bit of salt, we would have overtaken. And in politics, overtaking is allowed. So I would add to one key thing to those supporting Bryan that let's take this in good faith and let's work. I mean, our leader has said that we should go with a clean heart. And I think I want to reiterate that we should go with a clean heart and let the people know that, listen, we know it's a sport. You win today, you lose later. You lose today, you win later. And Dr. Bryan Acheampong has been through this in Suhum before. So he knows how, he's felt it before. And obviously not in this quantum, but 18% is solid within NPP.
So
solid.
So you are with him. What is his thinking like? If we say he has to be managed well, what is he thinking? How would the manage well be?
Well, it's not even necessarily about the candidate, but the supporters.
Okay, so what is it?
The Manchester fans, the Chelsea fans within the club, and what it means is that I don't know how to put this. He's been named the governor of the Eastern. So anything about the Eastern region moving forward within the party, he will need consultation.
But he didn't win Eastern.
Oh, I mean, when I say governance system is a totally different thing. Okay. I mean, so let me say he's an overlord.
Okay, of Eastern.
Okay, so some consultation at this point, because if supposing he triggers some things within the East, and it can really affect us.
Of course. Okay.
Especially in our general election. And that is why I'm just being very, and as it is now, by extension, Volta region.
Of course. Yeah.
And don't joke with Volta.
Yeah.
If you want to win elections in this country, you don't joke with Volta region. And which now, surprisingly, he's had favorability in Volta region, and I don't know if it's because of his understanding of the dialect, which is very interesting. I mean, I guess there's something interesting about speaking the language, and he's worked there before too. Okay. So let me say that he's done some national service related work in the Volta region, and may I also add that his performance in Upper East, Upper West, Northeast, those territories that were really no-go areas.
Even won constituencies in
that is remarkable. A remarkable achievement, and it tells you that he needs to be seriously considered.
Okay.
And I think that, you asked about how he thinks. Bryan will always be party first.
Okay.
He will always be party first, and I know him for that. And that has been his thing always. Party, party, party. So based on his manifesto, I know that he'll push us as a party to return to our true culture of patriotism, selflessness, and the things that made NPP. And in that sense, he cannot depart because he wanted the party to go back to its basics. And that was one of his resounding messages, that we need to go back to basic and return to the strategies that made our party win or made our party likable to all of Ghana.
Okay.
So we're very hopeful, and I must also admit that all the other stakeholders should, and I say this with the greatest of respect to the media, because the media has to manage the narrative well for us, and I'll plead with even my own party.
That depends on you.
I'll plead with my own. I know what the media can do, and I say this because the media can choose to gloss over some of the commentaries and not make it center stage. So I think that even our party needs to, sit down with the media and manage the conversation very well. And that begins with even our relationship with the likes of TV3, okay, and all the other various media houses, because if we're not careful, it's the media that will put in the fuel, for that matter. So I'll plead with media houses, a very huge stakeholder in our uniting our party.
Okay.
Supposing, some characters whose name was even mentioned here, goes off and says something. I mean, it's the media houses that can manage it for us. So with the greatest of respect, the Joy News Fraternity, Multimedia, and all the others, we will also plead with you that, the magnanimity that we are requiring.
We've always been professional.
Well, I mean,
we report what happens. So
it doesn't spoil, if we just engage you again. That and your editorial work, and I say this with the newspapers and stuff. You know how they can give headlines that are totally at variance from what and we have suffered. We who sit here, we know. Once we leave here, sometimes those who are not even on your platform would rather give headlines of things we said here which we didn't say.
Okay.
Right. So that's why I'm saying that they are a very key element in how we gel as a party or not.
Okay. Prof.
Right. So Bryan factor, very, very phenomenal. Let's look at this. So the last time, 2023, was a 2-horse race. Now there's a third horse. The impact of the third horse was as huge as follows. One, he is number one in one region, first in one region, the Volta region. He became second in 7 regions.
Hey.
Yeah, second in 7 regions. And so altogether, he has some level of influence in 8 regions.
Out of 16.
First time entrant. Very well. The second person is Ken, who had 1 region, central region, and then was also second in 7 regions. Okay? So I'm comparing his impact to the second person who had this experience in 2023, way before Bryan decided to join. He comes to work at par. So forget about the percentage difference that puts Bryan at third. In terms of the impact in this election, he scored equal marks or equal impact as Ken. One region, 7-7.
Wow.
So that's how I want us to see. It's not a small impact at all. At all. So let's not just look at the third place and think he's third. He's actually, in terms of impact, equal with Ken. Then, of course, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia will advance with 14 regions win and then place second in 2. But we are looking at Bryan factor. Again, In the last election, he didn't contest. So let me come to where he gained. In the Eastern region, he didn't contest, assuming he had 0 in the last election. Now, he won 6 constituencies. And Ken had 4 constituencies before this election, lost all. So even if you zoom into the analysis, this is the overall prediction versus actual. It hasn't come yet. So
that's the predictive versus actual.
Yes, yes.
NPP 2026. So,
absolutely. So
DMB,
that's the work. Yeah.
DMB, when it comes to predicted, 57.2, actual 56.48. Ken 24.0 as predicted, but actual is 23.76.
Yeah.
Bryan Acheampong predicted 16.8, actual 18.53.
Absolutely.
Educhum predicted 1.4, actual 1.02. Kwabena Acheampong predicted 0.7, actual 0.21.
Yes. So that is with the work that I did. But back to Bryan.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that in the western region, I think it breaks apart. But his impact largely in the eastern region takes away all the efforts that Ken had done. And in the eastern region, he places second. The last time Ken was second, he places second. Eastern region with 29% of the votes.
So he displaced Ken?
Totally, entirely. And if he nearly took Dr. Bawumia into the less than 40 zone. The last time Dr. Bawumia had 63% in the eastern region. Now with the impact of Bryan, he moves down to 51%.
Okay.
That is the loss Kofi was analyzing with that. So, I mean, what I want to say about the impact of Bryan is that it is so huge that if there's anybody in NPP who does not see it as a huge impact, and therefore Bryan is a huge constituency together with his team. He was talking about all other regions. In the northern region, the last time, Dr. Bawumia won all. But now Bryan enters in there and wins 1. Performs second in northern region and successful with 1 constituency, the Saboba constituency. It tells you go to Upper East, go to Northeast. Northeast, the last time it was straight up for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Yeah. This time, Bryan gets 103. The last time, Ken was second in Northeast with only 23 votes. The entire region, 23. Now, Bryan comes in 103. Kennedy moves up to 169. That is the difference Kofi was discussing with us on the screen. So, in summary, I would want to advise the NPP rank and file. And as for Bryan, I wouldn't advise him much because he has demonstrated from his past records that he is actually a party man. Check the people around him. Honorable Deskin is here.
OPK.
OPK was with Alan.
Yes.
The last time.
Yeah.
You saw how sharply they dissociated themselves from Alan's departure
from the party.
I mean, I can see OPK, Honorable Kisi, and the people around Bryan extremely ready and committed to the cause of NPP. There is no doubt about that. Honorable Kennedy is also a party man, and I am sure on his individual level, he will be ready to support the party.
Oh, but a lot of his people too are party persons. Jojo Rocky Obeng, committed to the NPP. Yes. Charles Bisu, committed to the
absolutely.
NPP. Ablema Feku, strong NPP woman.
I'm going to refer to the people who were at his back saying no can, no voting. So how sharply he reacted to their no can, no voting. I want to believe that this time is going to be better than 2024. And with the actions and demonstrations of their leaders, the members are going to follow through. But to the party people, in respect of what Dr. Bomfeh and my sister Vicky were discussing, to the party people, I am suggesting that as many of them as possible should find time and attend their Patriotic Institute training center also. They launched it sometime.
Yes.
One thing I'm seeing missing from the party is the assumption that there are some delegates who are good and there are some delegates who are bad. There are some party people who are good party people, some are bad, some are virtual, some are fake, some are this, some are that. That disunity or that statement can never on any day be true. Human beings, You can't have some that are good, some that are bad. Those that are good have their bad side. Those that are bad have their good side. That mental orientation will have to start. And I think the only institute I can foresee which can help the party do that is the Patriotic Institute. If they take out that thing, irrespective of which delegates are going to participate in an election of whoever, a presidential candidate or a parliamentary candidate, the outcome would be accepted by all. You will not say, I don't accept this outcome because the delegates who voted are grade B delegates or grade A delegates. Please, that won't take them far. And by extension to the presidential candidates, no delegate, whether current or in future or virtual or fake, will elect somebody that should not be accepted by all. Whoever the delegates, whatever the end, that orientation must start with. Then comes the final bit as to whether when you sell your candidate to the general public or the general Ghanaians, they will accept him or not. Senior, I know of, and I'm told of, a certain Ashanti who was wearing rather a synthetic shoe, but the way he spoke about the shoe, the manner in which he polished the shoe, kept it always shining. His friend threw away his rather authentic shoe, authentic leather shoe, and went to buy that synthetic shoe. What am I saying? If you have a product, good or bad, you, the one marketing it, has a bigger impact on making your product sellable or marketable. So it's going to take rather their internal comments, some of whom have already been said in the past. Now they are going to manage it, and even going forward, it's going to take that to make their candidate, whoever he is, sellable or marketable. If they all come together, unite, and they decide to sell a product, the general public, including those who are not even sure about the authenticity of the product, would want to try. Like the way the other guy wanted to try the synthetic shoe and rather had to do away with his authentic shoe and come to try. So how you sell your own candidate should be the conversation going forward. It's not about whether Ghanaians will accept you. Who are Ghanaians? If you who are selling the thing decides to sell the thing and gives the positive part of the thing, we are all Ghanaians. Everybody who, including people who don't even believe in what you are selling, would want to try and say, the way these people are saying this thing, let me try it and see whether it's a good product or not. So as for that one, everybody is a Ghanaian. The way you sell your product is going to be what matters at the end of the day, and not whether from the start, the word go, you are even thinking about whether the product is sellable or marketable or not. That conversation should not come in. Sell it, good or bad, and Ghanaians will buy it or would want to at least try it. So that is my advice to them.
There's this message here. Maybe I'll read it and you help me out. It says, our delegates have spoken and they made their choice. We respect it. Nonetheless, we should prepare those on how we are going to market DMB. Better luck to us. We the connected, for we are grateful to them. Blueprints, right from Escado Keten.
You see, the same statement. The same statement would have been, the same test would have been relevant to if Bryan was elected. It would have been relevant if Ken was elected. So to the Ken connected person who just sent this text message, would he have sent this same text message if Ken had won? Or he thinks that there was one candidate out of the 5 that if that person had been elected, there wouldn't have been the need to prepare
a dossier
of that.
That's what I speak of. The party itself, beyond the cameras, how are their members behaving?
Absolutely. So you are right. So he thinks that the need for the preparation of a dossier would have been, it's only necessary because
they have DMB.
The DMB, and that if he had been Ken, there wouldn't have been done. Where from that thought? You see, a marketer, if you see, your product might be very good, though, but sometimes if you are not careful, a bad product will be selling, and yours will be dead if you don't advertise it well, if you don't market it well. If you see no need, and Dr. Admaku Kesi was referring to the need to bring on board all media houses. If you see no need to participate in a certain media platform, all right, what if that platform is the most viewed platform? And if you had sold your product there, if not winning, or you would have won some. I don't know their decision to boycott some platforms, but at least this is the time to open up, sell your product everywhere possible.
This one says, Kojo, during this election, numerous falsehoods were spread about Dr. Bawumia. Some originated them and others were swayed by them. Yet ultimately, truth won out. Bawumia's humility and unifying spirit will play a crucial role in bringing the other aspirant to the table to drive the 2028 agenda. Here in the Western region, Bawumia secured all 17 constituencies, thanks to a hard-working team who identified and addressed the key challenges. The focus now shifts to 2028. Greetings to Dr. Kisi Mancha Bruce II in Takrady. You know him. When I mention his real name, you know. But this is what it is. Let me come to you. Doc, I've not heard from you on the Bryan factor. Earlier, I didn't put that to you.
Well, I refuse to dwell on any individual beyond the winner.
Okay.
And I'm doing so because, in my view, the shine is on that fellow.
Okay.
And he would need all the others who competed with him. Stephen Gould did a paper in 1985 that what do you call it? The average isn't the message. The statistic is not always the message. There's a story behind the number. And sometimes if you over-concentrate or dwell on the numbers, you miss certain important points. So that is why quantitative researchers would want to undertake some qualitative studies to appreciate what is behind the numbers. What is more necessary is that they are able to appreciate the fact that who they elected today is supposed to bear
the flag.
A certain flag, a bearer. If the flag cannot bring all of them together behind the bearer is bearing nothing. And so that is where, and wearing national lenses, I'm speaking to how we can rally all the intellect of this country, the energies, the strength that we have to rally behind the flag of Ghana to build our nation. Look, and those who are, yes, it's a flag bearer for 2028, but we are in 2026, February. 2026 is not yet over.
The day is young.
2027 is not yet here. So what preparatory steps are to be taken between now and 2028 that will make the bearer you have elected in 2026 indeed one worthy to bear the flag of Ghana? You need to start today and not wait till then. And that will require a number of things. As for me, I have offered those three things that I think are important.
Okay.
The first issue of magnanimity, humility, and acceptance. And yensom, any nipa is human beings who would help you. And at the end of the day, impact and meaning is derived not only at the end point, but throughout the means and the process. We need to make sure that we are doing the right things.
This one from Nana Kwabena Bomfeh Central, aka Dr. Bawumia will be president in 2028. He's changed it. Earlier it was Dr. Bawumia will win the flag bearer. Now it is Dr. Bawumia will be president in 2028. Congratulations to Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia for winning the primaries leading to victory 2028. The delegates have spoken. Let's come together and rally our support to DMB. Victory is coming. A special greetings to Adjin Kese John Boadu, incoming NPP National Chairman, Nana Acheampong Central, aka Dr. Bawumia, will be president in 2028.